Hello and welcome back, YouTubers, to another episode of Pokemon Theories. I'm your host, Protomario, and this is the show where we discuss theories ranging from Red being a ghost to why the heck Jinx looks the way she does. Hello and welcome back, YouTubers. I'm Protomario, and today's Pokemon Theory has been asked by a YouTuber, several YouTubers in fact, so I'm going to do it. Today's theory is the Cubone is a baby Kangaskhan theory. This involves several Pokemon, the male and female versions of Kangaskhan, Cubone, Kangaskhan's child, and Marowak. So first things first, let's look at the parent Pokemon known as Kangaskhan, or otherwise known as, in Japan, Garura. I think I said that right. Cut me some slack, guys. Anyways, Kangaskhan has a baby Pokemon, and for this episode we are primarily going to be referring to the game itself and not the anime, but taking a few small things from animes here and there because we can't see certain things in the game. So a baby Kangaskhan has been seen in the anime outside of the Kangaskhan's pouch, but in Pokedex entries it says it will rarely venture out of the pouch until it's 3 years old. So most of the Pokedex entries just say that it has attacks and will fight tooth and nail to protect its child. So the consensus in the theory is that Kangaskhan was the parent of a baby Kangaskhan, and it died, and so the child, being so sorrowful, stayed around until the Kangaskhan's body was rotted, put on its mother's skull, and became a completely different Pokemon known as Cubone, picking up a femur or a large hip bone. And then it evolves into Marowak. And then when Marowak died, the same thing happened with its child. This theory can more or less be accurate within the fact that as Pokemon evolve and breed with different Pokemon, they create new Pokemon, and genetic memories are passed on. For example, if cats learn that they can't swim and they drown, they learn to fear water. That may or may not be the reason they fear water, but that's a good indication. So, Cubone itself has a skull on it, but unfortunately this skull does not match up with Kangaskhan. In fact, Kangaskhan's skull looks vastly different than Cubone's skull. It does look similar in several ways, but in somewhat different. Does that blow this theory out of the water? No. In fact, it may alter it to make it more accurate. So, Cubone looks very similar to Kangaskhan in the fact that it has almost the same color scheme and is almost the same size to fit the skull on its head when it's a baby Pokemon. At one point in time, someone must have seen Cubone without its skull on. But that's not really saying much. Cubone is a sorrowful Pokemon because it never removes its skull helmet, nor has anyone seen Cubone's real face. It wears the skull of its deceased mother, it cries echo inside the skull, and comes out as sad melody. So, right, once again, Cubone is just very upset that its mother is dead. So, when it evolves into Marowak, as it grows stronger, it would have normally evolved into a Kangaskhan. But because it has a skull put on its head and a bone in its hand at the time, they genetically became part of its evolution composition, and they also altered in its evolution, sticking to its skull, because obviously, it would have to bust the skull open. But bone's pretty hard, so it would be very hard to do that, to grow and bust a skull open while you're growing out of the skull itself. So, the theory itself, as I stated already, is that Cubone is a baby Kangaskhan, and the Kangaskhan died, and that created the new Pokemon. I believe that this has the potential to be the true theory, and correct facts. Think about it. When a Kangaskhan dies, but there's a few things that are wrong with this theory, and I will present my theory. So, the one thing that is a problem is that the baby Kangaskhan must have stuck around for many years. It takes many years for a Pokemon's skin to completely rot off the bone. Let's say it was a very fast process and predators were helping strip it off. That baby Pokemon had to have stayed there and defend itself from the predators who were eating its mother, which they would obviously eat the baby. Otherwise, the baby was hiding, and that process is still long and can take up to 7 to 14 weeks to actually strip a large animal like Kangaskhan of its skin completely and its meat and things of that nature to where it can actually just grab the skull. That's the main problem I have with this theory. It probably wouldn't happen. So what probably happened is that it died and it stumbled upon a different Pokemon skull, assumed that it was its mother when it got separated from its mother, and worn it when it was very sad and upset that it couldn't find its mother again. That changed its DNA composition and it became Cubone. But another theory I have is a more realistic one, which involves Pokemon needing a plotline structure and requiring two Pokemon to evolve from this plotline structure. They wanted a parent Pokemon to be dead in regards to the Pokemon Tower, and they used Marowak as the parent Pokemon and Cubone as the child. Cubone was strategically placed in the Pokemon Tower. Think about it for a second. Cubone is not common in the Pokemon Tower. It's very hard to find him, but you can find more than one. Which means if, in fact, Marowak only had one Cubone kid, then why can you find many Cubones? Rare as it may be, you could probably find 100 if you wanted to look for a long enough time. So that's the problem, the fact that that Marowak specifically may have been killed by the Rockets, which would add to their plot and why you hate the Rockets and things of that nature. And in fact, in interviews, they've stated that they had to change around the Pokemon Tower and the boss and things of that nature. So, as they developed the game, they probably needed that. But my final consensus and conclusion is that Cubone was separated from its mother in some way, shape, or form. Having not learned its own Pokemon attacks and moves, it was only able to use basic move structures and needed things to defend itself. So it grabbed a bone and grabbed a skull to help it defend itself. And under stress and duress of attacks from other Pokemon, it learned how to use these techniques better and better and become stronger and stronger without the influence of Kangaskhan. I'm Protomario, and I'm signing out, and thanks for watching, guys. If you have a Pokemon theory, please leave it in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed that video, guys, and now time for a service announcement from the Maverick Army. Tired of the norm? Is it time for a revolution? Join the rebellion and become a Maverick today by subscribing to Protomario. Remember, together, we can create a new world order of gaming. Mavericks unite.